This is Dragonfruit by Makiia Lucier, Chapter 26. They arrived late in the afternoon in the village of Pagomaya, weary, hungry, and increasingly disheartened. There was the problem of the dragonfruit for one, and there was concern for Fetu, who should have appeared by now. Even the apprentices watched the sky with grave expressions, hoping to spot the familiar flapping wings. Pagomaya had been built on a hill to protect the village from flooding. The first chief had grown weary of rebuilding pavilions after every typhoon. The present chief, Umair, greeted them on the steps of his pavilion alongside his family. Diplomacy ruled in Pagomaya. Hanali was treated as a guest whose infamous father and sudden reappearance were touched upon, then politely ignored. As Sam went off in one direction with the chief, Hanali heard him say, "My bat is missing, chief. Was he here?" Chief Umair's voice was a rumble. "Fetu? Yes, 2 nights ago. He stayed to eat and pass along your message." "What do you mean missing?" "I told him to find me on the road, but no one has seen him." "He'll turn up, Prince Samati. Perhaps Fetu misheard and went back to Tamarind instead." "He'll turn up, you'll see." Their voices faded away. Hanali went off in the opposite direction with Rosamy, toward the bathing pools, thinking that Fetu had never misheard anything in his life. He was a bat, with a bat's excellent hearing. Where could he be? She was soon distracted by the pigs. They were everywhere, black and white spotted pigs with both large and small. The fully grown ones turned on spits. The babies were allowed to roam freely along the village roads, napping on patches of grass like cats and dogs would in other villages on other islands. Rosamine carried a small bowl of lemons. She nearly lost her hold on it when she tripped over a pig. "Are they pets or are they supper?" she asked, looking around in bafflement. The animals were indifferent to their presence, making no effort to get out of their way. "Both." Hanali picked up a fallen lemon and returned it to the bowl. "The children are taught not to get too attached to the piglets in case they become supper." Seeing Rosamy's expression, she added with a shrug, "It's their way." The bathing pool was fed by a small waterfall and shielded from the rest of the village by boulders. The bougainvillea grew wild among the rocks. The scent from the blossoms was heavy and pleasing. It was just the two of them there. Hanali set her bag on the grass and shook out one of the dresses Penina had packed for her. She threw off her clothes and hat and dove into the water, welcome after the long ride. Dirt and grime were easy to wash away. She wished it were as simple to scrub away the memory of Captain Arrow. She remained underwater as long as she could, picturing two small boys carved into wood, until her lungs protested. When she surfaced, it was to find Rosamy sitting beneath the one tree that offered shade, fully dressed. Her floppy straw hat remained on her head. She rubbed her eyes like a tired child would with both fists. "Do they hurt?" Hanali asked. Rosamy dropped her hands quickly. "I'm just tired." "You could ride in the cook's cart sometimes," Hanali suggested, "to rest your eyes. It's dark in there." Rosamy's expression grew guarded. "That isn't necessary." Hanali made no comment. She turned and swam to the edge of the pool and back. When she returned, Rosamy was waiting. "How did you know?" she asked Hanali quietly. "It's common on Raka." Hana dug her toes into the sand and pebbles. The water came to her chin. "More than it is here. When I was in the workhouse, there were two boys who couldn't see color. The sun hurt their eyes. They wore big hats when they worked outside, and when they could, they worked at night." She skimmed the water's surface with both arms. The woman who weighed the dragon's scale each day, she always wore the same color, black. She said it made dressing simpler. They both looked at Rosamy's dress. It was white. A different dress each day, but always white. Stricken, Rosamy said, "I wasn't going to steal it." Hanali stopped skimming. "Steal what?" Rosamy wrapped her arms around her knees and buried her head on them. "Do you mean the eggs?" Hanali came closer, water lapping at her shoulders. "I'm the last person to throw stones at. Look at who you're talking to. But I don't think Prince Samati, will just give you one." Rosamy spoke to her niece. "He will if I can get him to fall in love with me. He will if there's one extra." "You're spoiling my chance," she had told Hanali. Had she meant Sam or the dragonfruit, or both? "What would you use it for?" Rosamy lifted her head. "It isn't for me." Hanali waited. A mosquito buzzed by her nose. She swatted at it. "My uncle," Rosamy said at last. "Something's wrong with him. He forgets things, and it becomes worse and worse. He forgets who I am and who my cousins are. Others are starting to notice. I thought if I had the dragon fruit—" She trailed off miserably. "You said yourself it was dangerous. Why would you take such a chance?" "He's my family. Rosamie said, and my king. He's worth any risk. She selected a lemon from the bowl and sliced it in half with Hanali's dagger, the one Queen Magalahi had given her. I don't know what I was thinking. I know you have to tell him. Sam doesn't need to know everything. What? Have you done anything wrong? Do you plan to? Rosamie set the dagger aside. She wiped away a solitary tear. I never did thank you for saving my life that day. You did. Back in the stables. Rosamie sniffled. I didn't mean it then. Hanali smiled, and Rosamie, after a minute, returned it. Come here, tip your head. When Hanali did as she was told, Come here, tip your head. When Hanali did as she was told, Rosamie squeezed both lemon halves into her hair. It was not enough. She had a lot of hair. In the end, Rosamie ended up slicing 4 more lemons. Do you see any color? Do you see some color? Hanali asked curiously. One of the boys could see almost all of them, just not red or green. None, Rosamie said. I see light and shadow and texture. I can tell when a banana is ripe because of how it smells, not because I can see green or yellow. Yellow, green, purple, blue, they're just words to me. Hanali had turned away from Rosamie, combing lemon juice through her hair with her fingers, when Rosamie asked, Did it hurt? Hanali looked over her shoulder. My hands? That tattoo. Rosamie was studying her back. It must have taken months to finish. You know I'll never be fond of sea dragons, not after being eaten by one, but yours is extraordinary. Chapter 27. Hanali did not tell her. She mumbled something about it not hurting at all, then threw on her dress and fled the bathing pool, leaving Rosamie staring after her. Dusk had fallen, and the pathway lay in shadows. She trembled the entire way back to the chief's pavilion. When had her marking appeared? How could she not have felt it, or known in some way that it was there? Liko had felt her firefly. She reached behind her, under the neckline of her dress, trying to touch as much of her back as possible. There was nothing to be felt but skin. Someone was running up the path behind her. Hanali yanked her hand free of her dress. There was huffing, breath, and a sudden dull thud followed by a squeal. Stupid pig! And, Lady Hanali! Lady, wait! It was Rosamie, who ran up and grabbed her by the shoulders. I didn't realize what I was looking at, and I think... Did you realize? Hanali shook her head. Rosamie dropped her hands. How are always so calm? How are you always so calm? There's a missed word here. How are always so calm? I would have fainted. I still might. I feel very close to fainting, Hanali said in a small voice. Here, take my arm. Rosamie guided her to a tree stump on the side of the path. Her voice was just above a whisper. I've never heard of a sea dragon marking, have you? Never. The largest had always been a shark, her father's shark, Lord Eastcoast. The fires had been lit. Hanali could see them through the trees. The others were gathering for support. There was laughter and conversation. Someone was playing the drums. Rosamie said, Will you tell Prince Samati? Not yet. Not here. Move over, Rosamie said, sitting beside Hanali on the stump. You're shaking. So am I, to be honest. We'll just sit here and collect ourselves until we can pretend in front of the others. They sat for a good 20 minutes in silence, listening to nightfall around them. Hanali could hear Sam's voice, deep and pleasant and familiar. Her heartbeat slowed, and the trembling faded to nothing. Thank you, Lady Rosamie. Rosamie laughed, the sound high-pitched and uneven. It's just Rosamie, Hanali. I think we're past the grand titles, you and I. There were 9 bonfires in the clearing, each with a turning spit or a large bubbling pot. Hanali walked beside Rosamie, her thoughts in turmoil, and so when she passed a group of villagers sitting around a fire, she smiled politely and did not stop. It was only seconds later that she realized she knew one of them, a woman in black holding a bowl, her face slightly turned away as if she did not wish to be seen. She wore a crown lei, the tea leaves so lush they covered her forehead, but Hanali knew that face, just as she knew there was a tattoo beneath that crown, a sunrise pattern of Rakakalan design. Vea, the anemone's navigator, and if she was here, where was her captain? Something was not right in this village. Sam had felt it the moment they arrived, but he could not figure out what it was. The men had been directed to a separate bathing area, a bubbling creek that ran behind Pagomaya, winding its way through coconut groves and cycads. He shared the creek with Jejamar and William. The sun was setting and the mosquitoes were beginning to swarm in earnest. Something strange here, Sam said to his companions. Something feels wrong. It's just the pigs. Jejamar stood waist deep in the creek. He pointed to a trio of piglets snuffling nearby. That's what's strange. Why do they have so many? They're quite numerous. William agreed. He snatched his spectacles from the grassy bank, beating one of the piglets to it. It's not the pigs, Sam said absently. They've always been here. It's something else. He swatted at the mosquitoes. This bath needed to be quick, and he would be chewed alive. He looked around. Who has the soap? He caught the sliver Jajamar tossed his way. Sam made use of it until every bit of travel and dust was gone from him. William was sitting on the bank, wrapped in a drying cloth, and looking over a piece of parchment. Is that your list? Sam asked him. It is. So many worries weighed on Sam's mind. Captain Arrow, Fetu, his mother. Then there was the dragonfruit. Somehow he had to find a way to use its magic while avoiding its menace. Those eggs weighed heaviest of all. William's list felt like the opposite of worry, something cheerful and light, a thing to look forward to. Sam asked, what else is on it? Well, William said, I can climb a tree now, thanks to Jajomar. I've also heard your waterfalls in the south are magnificent. They are, Sam said. And we didn't have time before, Sam said, but I should like to learn how to crack open a coconut in case the need arises. Sam could not help a smile. You're in good hands. My cousin would win prizes for cracking if such a thing existed. He looked over at Jajamar, who wore trousers and no shirt and was rummaging through Sam's, not his own bag. What are you doing? Jajamar held up a black tunic. Can I borrow a shirt? Dryly he asked, borrow or keep? Jajamar smiled. I'd give it back, Sam. What do you take me for? It won't fit you. In response, Jajamar put on the tunic, which fit perfectly. He spread his arms wide. See? When did that happen? Lately, it felt like Sam blinked once and Jajamar grew an inch. He blinked again, and suddenly his cousin had calves made of muscle. He did not spend enough time with Jajamar. He had not been paying attention. Guilt had him saying, keep it. There was a rustling along the treetops. Sam looked up, hopeful, but it was only a pair of kingfishers, not a fruit bat. Jajamar was looking at the treetops. I can ride ahead tomorrow and look for him, he offered. Make sure he made all his stops. You would do that? Why not? Fetu's family. He'll turn up, Sam. He was not used to being comforted by Jajamar. His cousin was trying. Take Lord William with you and one of the guards. Jajamar agreed and left with William. Sam dressed, then joined Chief and Lady Umair. It was not until later, sitting before their fire, that he realized what was bothering him. There were no children here. No older children and no babies, no little ones of any age. On Tamarind, the young did not eat separately from their elders. They ate together, even when a prince visited, especially when he did. How had it taken him so long to notice? There was something else. Chief Umair was older than Sam's grandmother by a good 20 years, a stern, taciturn leader. He was often the first to leave a gathering, even if it was his own, preferring to seek his bed out early and rise at dawn. But this evening he was laughing and drinking, slapping backs and telling jokes, showing no signs of departing. Lady Umair smiled pleasantly and inquired after Sam's mother and grandmother. In return, Sam asked after her great-grandchildren, watching her smile falter. It returned so quickly Sam had to ask himself if he had imagined this. You are kind to ask, Lady Umair said. They are in the south visiting our daughter. She passed him more food. Pork, chicken, rice, mango, all heaped on a plate. Jajamar and William joined them. Not long after that, Honley and Rosamie did the same. He took one look at Honley's expression and said, What's wrong? Captain Bragadin's dragoners are here. Honley's eyes were on their hosts. I recognized 8 of them, one at each fire. Don't turn around, Chief Umair ordered. His tone was desperate. His lips were smiling. He lifted his cup high as if giving a toast. Please, smile. Pretend. Pretend. Sam's heart thudded even as he smiled. Why are there dragoners in your village? Chief, where are the children? Lady Umair offered a plate to Honolly, who accepted it with a smile. So much smiling. Bragadin took them to his ship, Lady Umair said, just past the cove. They came 2 days ago, demanding we repair their dragoner. It's taking on water. It seemed simpler to help them so that they would go. Then your bat arrived with your message that you would be arriving soon, and Bragadin took the children. He warned us if we told you they were here, we would never see them again. The night was warm. Even so, Sam felt a chill along his arms. Fetu would have warned him if he could have. Where is my bat? Forgive me. Forgive me, Chief Umair said, and gulped down the rest of his drink. He wiped his mouth with his sleeve and laughed. That Bragadin knew he was yours. He made us do it. His eyes flickered to a neighboring fire, where a large pot bubbled.